So some of the taglines for this movie is included "Together Again for the First Time," a comedy horror movie which didn't get enough recognition, but when I saw it, I laughed my head off. It's called House of the Long Shadows. This 83 British comedy horror film was directed by Pete Walker. It is notable for featuring four of the most iconic horror film stars of all time, including Vincent Price, Christopher Lee, Peter Cushing, and John Carradine, and they were together for this first and only time. The screenplay by Michael Armstrong is based on the 1913 novel Seven Keys to Baldpate by Earl Durr Biggers, which was also adapted in the famous play that gave birth in turn to several films. In this one, Kenneth McGee, a young writer, bets his publisher $20,000 he can write a novel of the caliber of Wuthering Heights in 24 hours. To get in the mood for the undertaking, he goes to the deserted Welsh manor. Upon his arrival, however, McGee discovers that Blid Peator Manor is not as empty as was told. Still there are Lord Elijah Grisbane and his daughter Victoria, who have been maintaining the mansion on their own. As the stormy night progresses, more people come to the mansion, including Lord Grisbane's sons Lionel and Sebastian, McGee's publisher's secretary Mary, and Corrigan, a potential buyer of the property. After much coaxing, the Grisbanes reveal they are here to release their brother. Roderick, who was imprisoned in his room for 40 years because he seduced a village girl when he was 14 and killed her when he found out she was pregnant. When they go to release him, they find the room empty and conclude that he broke out recently by breaking the bars in front of the window. Moments later, Lord Grisbane has a fatal heart attack. As McGee talks about getting the police, screams are heard and they find Victoria strangled to death. When Corrigan, McGee, and Mary decide to leave, they discover all their cars has slashed tires. Soon, Diane and Andrew Calder, a young couple whom McGee met at the railway station, arrive seeking shelter from the storm. They too are soon killed when Diana washes her face with water that was replaced by acid, and Andrew drinks poison punch. The remaining five decide to find Roderick and kill him before he kills them. McGee, Sebastian, and Mary search a series of tunnels behind a bookcase. During their search, they get separated and Sebastian is hung to death from the ceiling. Mary makes it back to Corrigan and Lionel while McGee remains lost in the tunnels. Corrigan soon reveals that he in fact is Roderick and he escaped his prison decades ago, but returns every now and then to make them think he was still trapped. He then proceeds to kill Lionel, who really killed a girl all those years ago and framed him with a battle axe and chased Mary throughout the manor. McGee soon finds them and after an ensuing fight, knocks Roderick down the stairs. Now during the fall, Roderick accidentally stabs himself with the axe. As Roderick is dying, his victims suddenly walk into the room very much alive. It is revealed that all was a joke put on McGee's publisher. Even Roderick rises, his wound also a fake. It is then revealed that everything was part of McGee's imagination while writing the story. As he finishes his novel in the morning, he returns it to give it to his publisher. When his publisher gives him his $20,000, he proceeds to rip it up, as he learned that some things are more important than money. McGee then meets his publisher's real secretary, Mary, who looks exactly like Mary Norton, which intrigues him. And after talking for a short while, he asks her if she believes in love at first sight. As the couple walk out of the publisher's office and pass by a pub down the hall in the same building, McGee notices that the waiter attending the gentleman in the bar looks exactly like Lionel Grisbane. Startled, he quickly hides his surprise and asks Mary to walk faster and get out of the place as quickly as they can. Now, again, other key actors, Sheila Keith, Julie Peasgood, the great Richard Todd, and Desi Arnaz Jr. Cinematography by Normal Langley, produced by Golan-Globus, edited by Robert Dierberg, music by Richard Harvey, production company was London Cannon Films, Cannon distributed 17 June of 83. No mention of the box office here, but it did very good on VHS. So Vincent Price plays Lionel Grisbane, Christopher Lee as Mr. Corrigan, Roderick Grisbane, Peter Cushing as Sebastian Grisbane, Desi Arnaz Jr. as Kenneth McGee, John Carradine as Lord Elijah Grisbane, and Richard Todd as Sam Allison. Now, the film was shot at Rotherfield Park, a manor house in rural Hampshire, England. There was a lot of pre-publicity interviews with this, and you can still find it online. The House of the Long Shadows, again released on June 17, 1983. In a contemporary review, Kim Newman of the Monthly Film Bulletin states that the main selling point of the film is the return of those particular horror actors, which in turn becomes a major surprise and disappointment, is that the film should waste these grand old icons on an entirely superfluous remake of Seven Keys to Baldpate. The review states that along with Reduce's film The Wicked Lady, the work is long out of date, that in the preposterous twist ending, Armstrong and Walker displayed an appalling contempt for the audience, and that the ending turns a disappointing project into a infuriating one. In a review of the Blu-ray, on the Blu-ray release, Chris called it bloody disgusting compared to a Hammer horror film, and said it's not the best movie for any of the 4 stars involved, but it may very well be the best tribute ever made to the golden age of horror, and that makes it something very, very special. Now, considering you probably did 1,000 movies between them, they're pretty good. Now, anytime you get Cushing and Mr. Lee together, but you got to understand, ladies and gentlemen, the hag horror of the 1950s and 60s was being replaced by what they call male horror performers. Now, you're probably saying to yourself, 7 Keys to Bald Pate or Bald Pate. This was, again, a 1913 novel by Earl Durr Biggers. A bestseller, was adapted by George M. Cohan in the play, which in turn was adapted several times for film, radio, and TV. The plot of the novel differs from the play in many respects. Again, different versions of the movie. 7 Keys to Bald Pate, the version Australia, 1916. The 17 films starring Cohan himself. 1925 with Douglas MacLean. Number 1929 with Richard Dix. 1925 with Gene Raymond. 1947 with Philip Terry. And House of Long Shadows in 83. Radio adaptations, 1938 for Lux Radio Theatre with Jack Benny. And 46 for the Theatre Guild on the Air with Walter Pidgeon. Now, the theatre adaptation, Victoria Theatre in Singapore in 1946, Kenneth Williams' stage debut. Adaptations were also made in 1946 and 1961. So again, it's something that's been remade over the years, and especially part of the RKO Pictures horror era. So at the time, ladies and gentlemen, Vincent Price, Lee, Cushing were doing a lot of, and Carradine were doing a lot of the guest spots, but have Desi Arnaz Jr. as one of the key characters. I think they were trying to really plug him. Now, 101 Minutes in Cannon, if you know Cannon, Golan-Globus was doing all kind of stuff at the time. And I think it did well in TV and VHS syndication. Now, House of the Long Shadows, maybe to try to make that kind of a cousin to Night of Dark Shadows and House of Dark Shadows, or Dark Shadow series. But again, seeing all the big 4 on there, Carradine, Cushing, Lee, and Vincent Price, you know, the all-star, that's like the 4 kings for boxing. So I saw the movie many years ago. I get 2.5 stars out of 4, just for the 4 stars alone. So House of the Long Shadows, one of the most important horror movies to wrap up all 4 of their careers. Give it a look. I think you're going to enjoy it. So if you like what we're doing here with our Gothic movie and TV reviews, let us know with a like, comment, subscribe, or share.